The power of vulnerability, embracing our shared humanity in a chaotic world. Welcome, everyone, to this special episode of the BlackCEO Podcast. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that touches every single one of us, whether we realize it or not. We're going to explore the transformative power of vulnerability and how it can reshape our world, one interaction at a time. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge the incredible individual whose insights and experiences form the backbone of our discussion today. I had the privilege of sitting down with Carmz Quintero, a truly remarkable woman whose journey has touched countless lives. Carmz is not just a survivor of unimaginable hardships. She's a beacon of hope, resilience, and unwavering kindness in a world that often seems to lack these qualities. Her story and wisdom have the power to change how we view ourselves, each other, and the very fabric of our society. Now, let's start with a question that might make you squirm in your seat a little. When was the last time you allowed yourself to be truly, unequivocally vulnerable with another person? I'm not talking about sharing a minor frustration or a surface level concern. I mean really opening up, exposing your raw, unfiltered self to someone else. Take a moment to think about it. If you're drawing a blank or if the mere thought sends a shiver down your spine, you're not alone. We live in a world that often equates vulnerability with weakness. We're taught from a young age to put on a brave face, to hide our insecurities, to present a polished version of ourselves to the world. But what if I told you that this very vulnerability, the thing we've been conditioned to fear and avoid, could be the key to unlocking deeper connections, greater understanding, and personal growth beyond your wildest dreams? Carmz Quintero's journey is a testament to this truth. From childhood abuse and trauma to homelessness and mental abuse, Carmz has faced challenges that would break most people. She's grappled with chronic health issues, forcing her to repeatedly relearn how to live with her diagnoses. Yet, through it all, she's managed to raise 3 beautiful children, raise awareness for important causes, and maintain her sanity, or at least, as she humorously puts it, sort of maintain it. Now, I can almost hear some of you thinking, that's great for her, but my life isn't nearly that dramatic. How does this apply to me? Well, here's the thing. Vulnerability isn't about comparing traumas or hardships. It's about recognizing that every single one of us, regardless of our circumstances, carries within us a unique tapestry of experiences, fears, hopes, and dreams. And it's only by sharing these parts of ourselves that we can truly connect with others and grow as individuals. Let me share a personal anecdote that illustrates this point. A few years ago, I found myself in a high-stakes business meeting. I was pitching a project that I was incredibly passionate about, but as I stood there in front of the board, I felt my confidence wavering. In that moment, I had a choice. I could push through with my rehearsed pitch, maintaining a facade of unwavering certainty, or I could be honest about my nerves and my deep personal investment in the project. I chose vulnerability. I took a deep breath and said, I'll be honest with you all. I'm nervous because this project means so much to me. It's not just a business proposition. It's a chance to make a real difference. The room fell silent for a moment, and I feared I'd made a terrible mistake. But then something remarkable happened. The atmosphere in the room shifted. The board members leaned in, engaged in a way they hadn't been before. By the end of the meeting, not only had we secured the funding, but I'd formed genuine connections with several board members who appreciated my honesty. This experience taught me a valuable lesson. Vulnerability, when embraced authentically, has the power to cut through pretense and create real, meaningful connections. It's not about oversharing or forcing yourself into uncomfortable situations. It's about creating space for authentic interactions and allowing ourselves to be seen, truly seen by others. Now, let's circle back to Carmz and the profound wisdom she shared during our conversation. There are 3 key takeaways that I believe have the power to transform how we approach our relationships, our work, and our lives. First, kindness and love are choices, just like anger and aggression. Our emotions, while sometimes provoked by external factors, are ultimately our responsibility. How we choose to show up, react, and handle our feelings is entirely up to us. This doesn't mean we'll always get it right. We're human after all. But by being conscious of our emotions, we can learn to process them in healthier, more positive ways. Imagine a world where we all approach each interaction with this mindset, where instead of reacting instinctively with anger or defensiveness when faced with conflict, we paused and chose kindness. How would that change our workplaces, our families, our communities? Second, all of our feelings matter, every single one of them. Joy, sadness, anger, fear, they're all part of the human experience. We all go through them. We all feel them. The key is not to let these emotions keep us captive, but to use them as catalysts for growth and understanding. This point resonates deeply with me, and I'm sure with many of you as well. How often have we been told to man up or stop being so sensitive? How often have we swallowed our true feelings for fear of appearing weak or unprofessional? But here's the truth. Acknowledging and embracing our full range of emotions doesn't make us weak. It makes us human. And it's only by fully experiencing and understanding our emotions that we can truly empathize with others and forge deeper connections. And third, the choice of how we process and grow through our emotions is always ours. We can choose to stay stuck, wallowing in negativity or fear, or we can choose to embrace our feelings, learn from them, and use them as stepping stones to personal evolution. This last point is perhaps the most empowering of all. It reminds us that no matter what life throws our way, we always have a choice in how we respond. We may not be able to control our circumstances, but we can control our reactions to them. Now, I can almost hear some of you thinking that's easier said than done. And you're absolutely right. Embracing vulnerability and choosing love and kindness in the face of adversity is no small feat. It requires courage, practice, and a willingness to sometimes fall short of our own expectations. But here's the thing. Every time we choose vulnerability, every time we opt for kindness over anger, every time we allow ourselves to truly feel and process our emotions, we're not just changing ourselves, we're changing the world around us. Let me share another story that illustrates this point. A few months ago, I was at a conference and I found myself in a heated debate with another attendee. We had fundamentally different views on a controversial topic, and I could feel my blood pressure rising as the conversation progressed. I was gearing up for a full-blown argument when I remembered Carmz's words about choosing kindness. Instead of doubling down on my position, I took a deep breath and said, you know what? I'm feeling really passionate about this, and I suspect you are too. Can we take a step back and talk about why this matters so much to each of us? The shift in the conversation was immediate and profound. By acknowledging my own emotions and inviting the other person to do the same, we moved from confrontation to connection. We still didn't agree on everything by the end of our chat, but we left with a much deeper understanding and respect for each other's perspectives. This experience reinforced for me the power of vulnerability in bridging divides and fostering understanding. It's not about agreeing on everything or compromising our values. It's about recognizing the humanity in each other, even or especially when we disagree. Now, I want to challenge you. Over the next week, I want you to make a conscious effort to embrace vulnerability in your daily life. This doesn't mean you need to share your deepest secrets with everyone you meet. Start small. Maybe it's admitting to a coworker that you're struggling with a project. Perhaps it's telling a friend that you appreciate them and why. Or it could be simply acknowledging your own feelings, even the uncomfortable ones, without judgment. As you do this, pay attention to how it affects your interactions. Notice how it might change the way you perceive others and how they perceive you. You might be surprised at the connections you forge, the understanding you gain, and the personal growth you experience. Remember, as Carmz so beautifully put it, we will all fall short sometimes. But if we choose to be conscious about how we feel, we're better able to process through and move on in a more positive way. This journey towards vulnerability and authentic connection isn't about being perfect. It's about being human in all its messy, beautiful, complicated glory. In our world today, where division and misunderstanding seem to be the norm, embracing our shared humanity is more important than ever. By choosing vulnerability, by approaching each other with openness and empathy, we have the power to bridge divides, foster understanding, and create a more compassionate world. But let's be real for a moment. Choosing kindness and love isn't always easy. There will be times when anger feels justified, when closing ourselves off seems like the safest option. And that's okay. Remember, the goal isn't perfection, it's progress. Carmz's journey is a testament to this. Despite facing unimaginable hardships, she chooses day after day to approach life with openness and love. She chooses to share her story, not for sympathy, but to create connections and inspire others. She chooses to see each day as a blessing, taking nothing for granted. This brings me to another crucial point: gratitude. Carmz's perspective on life that just being able to live another day is a blessing, is a powerful reminder of the importance of gratitude in our lives. When we approach each day with thankfulness, it becomes easier to choose kindness, to embrace vulnerability, to see the humanity in others. I want to share a practice that has transformed my own life and that I believe can be a powerful tool in cultivating vulnerability and gratitude. Every evening before I go to bed, I take a few minutes to write down 3 things I'm grateful for and 1 moment of vulnerability I experienced or witnessed during the day. It could be something as simple as feeling grateful for a delicious meal or acknowledging a moment when I felt scared but pushed through anyway. This practice has not only helped me become more aware of the good in my life, but it's also made me more attuned to opportunities for connection and growth through vulnerability. I encourage you to try it for yourself. You might be surprised at how it shifts your perspective over time. Now, as we near the end of our time together, I want to circle back to where we started. Remember that question I asked you at the beginning about the last time you allowed yourself to be truly vulnerable? I want you to ask yourself that question again, but this time I want you to consider it not just in terms of your past, but in terms of your future. What would your life look like if you approached each day, each interaction, each challenge with the openness, resilience, and love that Carmz embodies? How might it change your relationships, your work, your community? Imagine a world where we all did this. A world where we recognize that behind every opinion, every action, every person, there's a story, a complex tapestry of experiences that have shaped who they are. A world where we approach disagreements with curiosity instead of defensiveness. Where we saw our emotions not as weaknesses to be hidden, but as bridges to understanding and connection. This isn't just a pipe dream. It's a possibility that each of us has the power to make a reality, one interaction at a time. So here's my challenge to you and to myself. Let's commit to embracing vulnerability. Let's choose kindness, even when it's hard. Let's acknowledge our feelings, all of them, and use them as catalysts for growth and connection. Let's approach each day with gratitude, recognizing the blessing of simply being alive and the opportunities each day brings for learning and growth. It won't always be easy. There will be days when we fall short, when we react with anger instead of kindness, when we close ourselves off instead of opening up. But remember, it's not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about making the choice again and again to show up authentically, to connect genuinely, to live vulnerably. Because here's the truth. In a world that often feels chaotic and divided, embracing our shared humanity through vulnerability might just be the most revolutionary act we can undertake. It has the power to transform not just our individual lives, but our communities, our societies, and our world. So I ask you, are you ready to join this revolution of vulnerability? Are you ready to choose kindness, to embrace your emotions, to open yourself up to deeper connections? Are you ready to see the humanity in others, even those you disagree with? The choice, as always, is yours. But remember, in the words of Carmz, feelings aren't meant to keep us captive. They're meant to guide us, to teach us, to help us grow. So let's choose to feel fully, to love openly, to embrace our vulnerability, and in doing so, to embrace our shared humanity. Thank you for joining me on this journey today. Now go forth and be vulnerable, be kind, be human. The world is waiting for the unique gift that only you can bring. Let's make it a world where vulnerability is not just accepted, but celebrated. A world where our shared humanity shines brighter than our differences. A world transformed by the power of open hearts and authentic connections. The revolution of vulnerability starts with you. Are you ready?